What's up, everybody? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, and I have a very exciting guest with me today. He is the WBC heavyweight champion. He's the Lineal heavyweight champion of boxing, and he's also a guy he's such a king that he gets massages while he's giving one of his first interviews in a long time. I think we haven't heard from you in a while, Tyson. It's great to see you. How are you? How are we doing?
It's been a while, but this is my first interview I've done in a long, long time. So let's hope it's going to be a good one.
How has the break been from the media? I know that you're great at doing media, but it's a lot sometimes, right? So how has that year off from kind of being out of the limelight, so to speak?
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the break. I've enjoyed the break from all the interviews and stuff that I probably would have had to do if lockdown hadn't have been here.
Well, tell us, I don't have to, I'm sure that it's great to get you on this particular week, because this week was, I guess if you want to call it, the year anniversary of your last fight with Deontay Wilder. So, being on social media and seeing all those clips and all those highlights come up of 1 year ago, how was that for you? Kind of reliving that moment on Monday.
Yeah, I know it was a year ago since the fight recently, and I didn't get to see it on social media because I've given it up social media for Lent for 40 days and 40 nights. Oh. So, I've not seen much on social media, but not seen anything on social media, actually. But I'm sure there will have been a few good videos flying around.
Yeah, there were a ton of good videos flying around. How come you're taking an absence from social media?
I'm taking an absence from fizzy drinks and social media. They were my two give ups for Lent this year. I usually drink 2-3 cans of like diet or zero sodas. Really? And look at Instagram or Facebook, not Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, usually every day. So to give them two things up, I thought it'd be a good challenge for 40 days and for 40 nights.
Which one's tougher to give up between those two?
Either of them so far have been tough.
Oh, okay.
I can give up anything. If I can get back from 400 odd pounds down to 250,
True.
Can do anything.
You're a disciplined guy. Why social media though, man? Because I got to tell you, I've enjoyed watching your social media. I know you don't have many posts on Instagram, but your stories, they're inspiring. Everything is, you're talking about things being fresh and bright and crisp morning, Yeah. Monday workouts. Why did you step away from that?
I decided to give it up because it's something that I use every day, something that I always check and post, like you say, stories, and I'm checking my messages, something that I'm not addicted to, but I always check every single day. I don't want to be addicted to anything, or I don't need to go on social media next. I've never given up for a long, long time. Since I started in 2016, I don't think there's been a period where I've had 40 days off. So a good cleanse.
Well, I'm looking forward to your return, to be honest, because those were inspiring messages every morning. I mean, the avocado toast with the lox is delicious. I've tried it. I got that from my buddy George Lockhart, right? So that was a great breakfast. I recommend it to everybody. So you didn't see the videos of your fight on social media, but have you watched that fight much over the last year, not being able to fight? Have you gone back and relived that night at all?
A couple of times back. Not recently, but after the fight, I watched it a few times coming back. It was a good performance. I was very happy with the way it went down, but I've still got a lot I can to clean up and brush up on. Don't forget, I only had 7 weeks training with Sugar Hill for that fight, so I believe I've improved 50% since that fight. Just working on the style and the technique of that Kronk style.
Sure. I got to ask you about one moment in that fight, and I figured that you would have talked about it somewhere, but then when I was looking around this morning and yesterday, I haven't seen you really talk about this, so forgive me if you have. There was a moment in that fight, and this has been making the rounds on social media again in the year anniversary. In the 6th round, where you guys were clinched up, you were near the corner, and you did something that got the attention of a lot of people. Do you recall what I'm talking about? You stuck your tongue out and appeared you licked his neck. Yeah.
Yeah, like a vampire.
Yes. Can you talk about that moment when you decided to do that?
No, because in the pre-fight interview, I said I could taste Deontay Wilder's blood this time. So I had an opportunity to do it there in round 6. Yeah. So I have to taste his blood just so I get the feeling of what my prey tasted like.
Yeah, I mean, when you said that before,
I was a hunter. I was like a lion, and he was a gazelle, a large gazelle. And I took it down, and that was it. It's game over.
Huh. Is that kind of symbolic, or does that give us like an inside look, sort of, difference between Tyson Fury outside of the ring and inside the ring? I can't imagine that you outside of the ring would ever lick another man's blood, right? But is there just a different mindset when you step into the ring?
Mindset, the animal instinct come out inside the boxing ring, and it's either him or you. But it's weird because I've not noticed anybody lick anybody else's blood before. Hope he doesn't have any germs or anything. Yeah, or else I've got his cuties now, baby.
Well, that night was, I mean, I was there. I guess it was a fantastic night. It was, arguably the best performance of your career. And then leaving the arena that night, I'm sure that fighting, was not necessarily the first and foremost on your mind about when you were going to get back into the ring. But you had said that you thought that the trilogy was going to be next. There was a contractual clause in there with it. What did you think leaving the arena? I mean, and obviously we had no idea what was coming in the world in the coming months. But what were you thinking? How were you planning out your 2020 before everything happened?
I wasn't. I was thinking about going to the pub and getting absolutely destroyed, which we did. I was thinking about Bud Lights more than anything.
Bud Lights is your jam, huh?
It's my choice of beer, yeah, for sure. Right? So we went out after the fight, had a load of drinks, got back to the hotel, had some food, went to bed, did pretty much the same the next day. I said before the fight that when I won the fight, I was going to go party with my friends on the strip and everybody, all the fans. And I did. I went out drinking at 10 o'clock in the day, in the middle of the strips, pulled some chairs up, and there were thousands of people around me, just drinking beers all day till like 6 in the evening.
Wow.
It was a hell of a party day, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, is that a double-edged sword? Like, you enjoy it because you can celebrate with everybody, but then you're like the center of attention. Everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody wants to come up and say something to you.
Everybody wants to come down and have a little chat and have a picture or whatever they want to do. And it's they're fans of mine, so they travelled all the way to Vegas to see me fight. So to go and have a beer with them, it's only fair, really.
Yeah, and now considering then what happened in the next 2 months, where you go from that scenario to being locked down in your house and not being able to see anybody, it's probably a nice little thing to do before everything happened. How was your 2020? I mean, that's probably a very broad question, but all of us have experienced, sort of the same thing. We've been making our way through it. How was the year for you?
The year for me was, I don't know if Brad sent you the list of things that I did in the year.
I did, yeah.
And that was my full year. I came back from America straight into lockdown in the UK for 12 weeks. I decided to do a workout video every day for 12 weeks, me and my wife, Paris. We did an hour-long workout video every morning at 9 a.m. That inspired a lot of people and helped a lot of people through the lockdown, including myself. We did that for 12 weeks, and then the lockdown got lifted for a few months. I ended up buying a dog for the kids, a Chihuahua, which is very fitting for a giant man with a tiny dog.
That's what I thought, yeah.
What else did we do? I got into actual cycling. For the first time in my life, I was doing quite a lot of cycling trips. I started doing like long bike rides, like 50 miles, 60 miles, 70 miles and stuff, quite regular. So I got into that. That was quite good while it lasted. What else? I went on a couple of little breaks with Paris and the kids when the lockdown had finished. And then all of a sudden, before we knew it, we was in another lockdown.
Yeah.
So that was 2020 finished, basically. I tell you what, I take a lot of positives from 2020 because I got to spend a lot of time with my family. I mean, with my wife and kids without no commitment. We had a lot of barbecues, family barbecues and picnics in the garden and stuff. So it was a really good year for me. And the weather was good in the UK all year. So it was really good, We enjoyed it. And then at the end of the year, I went training in Florida with Sugar Hill. I had about 16 days over in Florida, Miami, and Boca Raton.
I mean, obviously, it's great to hear that you were able to spend that time in a positive way. I want to ask, because obviously everybody knows your story and you've been open about, your the trouble that you had with mental health and drug abuse and everything else. So are you at a point in your life where you're so far past that's not even a concern when something like this comes up? Or like when we are locked down and people are having, depressive thoughts about, because they're stuck in their homes and the world is not in a great place. Like, is that still a threat to you, or have you completely moved past that in your life?
No, I don't think you ever get over the mental health problems. I think they always stick with you, but I've learned a way of managing my problems now, mental problems, which is I train every day. and that's my medicine. And if I wasn't able to train, then I know I'd be back to where I started within a few months, 100%. So I keep me training up, I keep healthy eating, and I try and stay in shape, and that's what motivates me.
Yeah.
I made it a change of lifestyle, a lifestyle change rather than a quick fix, and it motivates me to get up in the morning and train in the evening. I give myself short-term goals, weight to hit weight targets, or I want to do a certain thing at a certain time. I give myself a structured routine on a daily basis every day. So I almost live like a sort of a Spartan lifestyle where everything's regimental.
Mm-hmm. Another thing on that list,
military.
Another thing on that list that you sent to Brad is that you set up your own gym in Morecambe. Was that kind of a project of yours? Can you talk about that?
That was a project for me. I was originally setting up a foundation for local kids and things for boxing and football and any field sports. I bought this big training compound. It's got like 4 or 5 acres of football pitches and stuff like that, all like 4G training facilities and boxing gyms and stuff. And I was supposed to get all up and going, but everything was shut down in 2020, still is today. So that didn't happen. We didn't end up opening that year. Mm-hmm. But I did. I have been using the boxing gym myself for the last year. So I used to have to travel to Manchester, which is about an hour away, to train with Ricky Hatton and other professionals over there. And I didn't have my own gym in Morecambe. So having my own gym in Morecambe has probably been a blessing in disguise. Been one of the best things I've ever done. Mm. I couldn't imagine life without it now.
So you think that's where your actual base will be? That's where your training camps will be moving forward? Is right there in your home base in Morecambe?
It all depends where the fight's going to be. Mm-hmm. Like I've not fought in England for I don't know how long, years. Mm-hmm. So I fight in Las Vegas usually. Yep. So I have camp over there. I usually have 4 or 5, 8 weeks in Las Vegas, depending on who it is or what it is. And you have to do that because of the time zone difference. It's 8 hours time difference from Las Vegas to England. So I give myself the best opportunity I can. And I do love training in Las Vegas. It's the new home of the Gypsy King. Yeah. It's got everything I need. I know all my runs. I've had 3 fight camps back to back there. So I'm very, very familiar with the place. And I absolutely love the place for training camps and that as well. Good weather, good running, good training facilities, everything.
Did you also move in 2020? Did you move homes in Morecambe?
No.
You did not. Okay, because I wanted to ask you about a story that I saw that were people showing up at your house during this to talk to you about mental health issues? Yeah,
all the way through. Like I've always getting people at the house with problems or people wanting fans and stuff. And I have done. That's why I'm thinking about moving. Because I can be led in bed at 2 a.m. and some people drunk will ring the intercom downstairs at the outside the gates and it rings an alarm through the house. And it's just like people, drunken people wanting to talk or whatever. Oh. It is what it is. I can't blame them. Because if I knew where Muhammad Ali lived back in the day, when I was a kid drunk, I'd want to go say hi too. So it is what it is. But, it's a time and a place for people coming round to your house. And there's no time for strangers to come to another man's house where he's got his family and his kids. Okay, I'm a sportsman and entertainer, but people shouldn't be going around to other people's properties where they've got their kids and their family.
Yeah. Well, another thing you put on that list was you trained for, and this was actually the one that made me laugh the most, is that because you said it so matter-of-factly, you wrote, I trained for a fight in December that never happened, which I think is funny. You probably don't because you put in the work and you wanted to have that fight in December and then it didn't happen. How disappointing was it to not fight in December?
It was very disappointing, to say the least. I put in like 9-10 weeks of training camp. I was in very good shape. I'd done all the sparring. I did everything that was needed for a fight. And within like 2 weeks to go, the plug got pulled on the fight because there was a lack of funds for one. Mm-hmm. There was no crowd, nothing allowed in. And we thought they might have been allowed. I don't know. It was just a big mess up, really. Mm-hmm. But I should have boxed because I've been so inactive now. I've been out over a year. And by the time I fight again, we're looking at maybe June if this Joshua fight happens. Mm-hmm. So that'll be a year and 6 months out the ring, which is not ideal preparation for any super fight. But I have been in the gym. I haven't been out partying, drinking, messing around. I've been in the gym every single day. I've been eating right. I've been going to sleep and doing everything that I should have been doing. So it's been good.
Is there anything else you can do besides all the things you just mentioned to combat that inactivity? Like do you try to spar? Do you try to have like a setup fight? Or is there just really no method to it?
Like the real thing. It's not just the actual boxing. It's the training camp, the sparring, the mental stuff, you get your mind ready for active battle. You got to get used to going back in the ring for real. Like you could spar all day. It doesn't mean anything because there's no winner and loser. There's no pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So sparring or a real fight is 10 times different.
I mean, your opponent is going to be facing somewhat of the same thing. He hasn't been able to fight for a while because of the same circumstances. So do you think that has an impact on the fight if the Joshua fight does come together in June? I mean, how much of a concern, I suppose, is it for you?
Which I'm not that optimistic about of lately.
Really?
He only fought in December. So December to June's only 6 months out the ring. So he'll be a full year in front of me of activity, but I'm that much in front of him with skill. Then a year of inactivity doesn't really do that much. But you never beat being match fit and being active and out regular. Any fighter will tell you the same. If you're out regular and you're match fit, then you should be able to beat people who are inactive. That's for sure. Well, but I don't make excuses. Look, I had 3 years out of the ring, come back and beat Deontay Wilder's ass. Yeah. So it's and I'm surely I can beat Anthony Joshua one hand tied behind my back, and even after being having 16 months out of the ring. Years ago, if I would have had 16 months out of the ring, I'd have had an uphill battle to try and get back in the ring because I would have been 400 pounds again. But today, I live a different lifestyle. I'm a different person. I'm a proper professional athlete these days. So I'm always ready. I'm ready to go today, tomorrow, next week, 3 months, yesterday, last month. I'm always ready to do the distance if needed.
I think the fans are ready for that too. I mean, you kind of dropping a bombshell on me here that you're not optimistic that the fight's happening because it seems like all the reports are very positive. It seems like this fight was gearing towards June. How come you're not optimistic about the fight?
I'm not optimistic. They've had a full year to try and make this fight happen. Since the last Wilder fight, they were talking, even before the Wilder fight, they were talking about the fight potentially between me and Joshua. They've had a full year to make something happen. It's not happened as of yet. Mm-hmm. So, it is what it is. It's nothing's happened. We're no further forward today than we was a year ago.
If the fight were to not happen, why? Why would it not?
Because it's the way COVID is at the moment. I don't think it's got much to do with the fighters. It's to do with a venue, a date, a place, site fees. It's to do with everything but the fighters themselves. So.
Well, it seems to me that the climate or the environment for that is improving though, because obviously you have the vaccines, you have the COVID is trending in a better place, and you also have these different locations that you mentioned site fees that are willing to pay a lot of money to have an event, like a heavyweight championship fight. Yeah. So why do you? So I'm almost, it's surprising for me to hear you say that, because to me it seems like we are in a place going into this year and potentially this summer where you could have, a site fee really pony up for a big fight like that, and then have, if not a full capacity fans, to have some fans in the arena. You're seeing it differently, huh?
I'm just seeing it different. I'm a realist. I think if there was going to be an offer, there'd be one today, next week or the week after. It doesn't, I'm not optimistic about it. One, I don't think Anthony Joshua wants to fight anyway, because he knows he's going to lose, and he likes the fact that he's a professional boxer. And after I get finished with him, he won't be anymore. So that's one of the reasons I'm not optimistic about it. And the other one is there's just the COVID at the moment. Even though you say we're in a better place, yes, we're in a better place than we was last year, but still not in a great place. The full country in the UK is locked down tight still. Mm-hmm. So it's not looking very optimistic from where I'm sitting. Now, and if there was so many offers on the table from abroad, foreign countries, then where are they? Why don't I know about them?
So what kind of outlook does that give you on 2021? I mean, is it you start to think about opponents where it's not Anthony Joshua, so maybe the deal is easier to come back together? Like, what is your strategy?
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying if the fight doesn't happen this summer, it's got to happen sooner or later. But Top Rank, I've got to give me 2 fights this year. So we'll see. I will fight 2 times on ESPN. I don't care who it is. Yeah, I've got 2 fights coming up this year, regardless of whoever it is, Joshua or not. If it's not Joshua, we're looking to fight middle of April, early May, and then again at the end of the year. And if it is Joshua, then June, and then the end of the year again, bang, bang, twice. So yeah, 2021's looking bright. All of this stuff that if fights are going to happen, if they're not going to happen, it's not really my concern, because whoever I'm fighting in the boxing ring, I get up for, I get ready for, and I go and destroy. And that's what I do. So, it doesn't matter to me if his name's AJ, PJ, or CJ. He can still get an ass kicking. I'm not bothered.
If in a perfect world, in a non-COVID world, if you and AJ, the fight did come together, and let's just in this scenario say there's going to be 2 fights, right? 2 fights, you guys fight, and then you fight again, regardless of what happens. Where do you think would be the best places to have him in your mind? Ideally, like where would you like to walk out? Where would you like to face Anthony Joshua?
To me, it doesn't matter. I'm a prize fighter, so I go where the event is. So it doesn't matter if it's in England, America, New York, wherever. It can be Asia, it can be wherever it wants to be. It's a boxing ring to me. I just want the victory. I'm there for the win. That's it. Then I go home.
And you said it can be anybody. I wonder if that anybody includes Deontay Wilder. And I know that you've already discussed this, but can you just put a bow on the Deontay Wilder situation? Is he still trying to get a trilogy with you? Is that still a possibility? Where do you stand in terms of your chapter with Deontay Wilder?
As far as I'm concerned, the chapter's done. I beat him twice. Absolutely smashed into pieces the second time. It wasn't even a contest. They had a full year to make another fight. I agreed to about 7 dates. None of them materialised. Then the contract expired, and now he's now nothing. There's no fight between me and Deontay Wilder. But Deontay Wilder's got more on his brain than fighting, I tell you that. I think he's lost his marbles. I think Deontay Wilder is struggling mentally at the moment, physically and emotionally.
Do you have sympathy?
Not just me looking at him from the outside, from a person who's already been there and done what he's doing. Like, obviously, the beating he took in the fight has really affected him, because he obviously thought that he couldn't lose to anybody. And then when he's been in there and been beaten like that, then it's obviously had a mental effect on him.
Do you have sympathy, or are you disappointed with? I mean, you guys had 2 great fights. Fights that really, captured the attention of the boxing world, the sports world, and then for him to kind of react to the loss in the manner in which he did, has it kind of soured the experience for you, or is it?
Well, it spoiled the way that I look at him as a man. Like, to make a million excuses after a fight, after you've lost to somebody, it's unsportsmanlike conduct. If he'd have beat me in the same manner or any manner, I'd have put my hand out, shook his hand and said, fair play. I've lost to a better man on the night. Good luck and God bless you. And that's the difference in men. If somebody beats me, and I've been traveling the world for 13 years to find somebody to beat me, and I haven't found him yet. If there is somebody out there to beat me, I'll shake his hand. Because if he can beat me, he's a good boxer, he's a good man. Fair play. Good luck to him. God bless him. But Deontay Wilder clearly doesn't have that same mindset. And because he's lost, there's got to be X, Y, and Z reasons why he lost. And I believe it's mostly because he's got what I call a lot of arse kissers in his training camp. Everyone's afraid to upset him. So when they're all yes men, you can never get the truth. You can never get someone's honest opinion, because they're too scared of losing the job or losing their status or whatever. So it is what it is with Wilder. He's absolutely disappointed me as a man, and I feel sorry for him. And I hope he comes back and fights again, because I'd love to give him another hiding, a good hiding, an even better one than the first time. But I can't see him coming back. I think even if he does come back, I think he's finished, because the bubble's been burst and people are not afraid of him anymore.
Yeah. Well, and part of what went into that performance against him for you was, like you mentioned, you had 7 weeks with Sugar Hill. And so to me, one of the most intriguing things is, well, what's Tyson Fury going to look like when he does finally come back from this layoff? The layoff is a concern because of activity, and you want your timing and you want that mindset, right? But you've had a lot of time behind the scenes to be working on this new style of yours with Sugar Hill. So can you give us kind of a preview of what we will see, when you've had all this time to work with this new trainer?
I think I'm, like I say, 50% improved on the second Wilder fight. I only think I'm getting better and better and better with it. And at 32, I thought to myself, before I was training with Sugar Hill, I thought I knew everything. I was a lineal heavyweight champion of the world, the man who beat the man who couldn't be beat. I thought I knew everything. But it's very, very true that an old dog can learn new tricks. And I'm thriving with this new style. And I cannot wait to put it on display.
Let me just ask you a few more questions and we'll let you go, man. And thank you so much for the time. One thing I wanted to ask you about, just about fighting in general, is that I heard in another interview that, and you've said this before in multiple interviews actually, that you got all the pressure, you have an unbeaten record, you have titles, you have everything that goes into that, all the media responsibilities and the pressure of going into arena. I remember watching you, like everybody else, on that throne, coming out to the ring in Vegas. And you said in these interviews that it's just a boxing match. It's not pressure. You don't seem to fear a loss whatsoever. And I'm around fighters a lot, and some of them have mastered that, and some of them haven't. I mean, you're talking about young fighters and also veteran fighters. Some of them just don't feel like that sense of calm and that lack of pressure when they're going to the ring. How have you mastered that? What can you tell us about how to get into that mind frame that you're going in, completely free when in a big fight like that?
I'll tell you why I'm so calm. Because I know I put all the work in the training camp and in the gym. I eat right, I sleep right, I prepare well. As long as I'm injury free, there's nothing more I can do. The rest is in God's hands, God's will, destiny. If it's supposed to be, it will be. And if it's not supposed to be, then I won't win. The way I look at all these big, massive events is, if it's supposed to be written down in history that Tyson Fury was the victor on the night, then so be it. There's not much more I can do than eat, train, sleep right. I can only do that one thing. That's my end of the deal. The rest is down to destiny and supposed to happen, things like that. I'm a massive believer in God. I believe what's meant to be will be. And if it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. And I can't really do much about it. So I know that I've done everything that's in my power to prepare for a fight properly. Then the rest is up to the big man upstairs.
Have there been moments in your career where you've gone to the ring and not thought that you didn't feel like you did everything that you could have done?
Yeah, plenty of times in my early career. Never used to take boxing too seriously. I never used to train properly for fights. And I'd be thinking, if I don't get this guy out here in 4 or 5 rounds, I'm going to be knackered. And then I end up getting him out of there anyway. So there's always doubts early on in careers and stuff. Have you done enough? Through experience, you learn how to do enough. You learn what you need to do in camp. You learn how to prepare. You almost have a clock in your head that tells you the time before it's even the bell goes. So it's built-in experience and everything else. So doing too much is worse than not doing anything at all as well. So it's a happy medium of just getting it right.
I got to ask you one mixed martial arts question, because I cover MMA, I cover the UFC. I know that you have a mutual friend there with George and Conor McGregor. And I know you've spoken about Conor McGregor before, and your knowledge of fights, obviously, this is something I want to get your opinion on. So Conor lost his last fight to Dustin Poirier. You spoke about how, the activity may have hurt him. He said it after the fight, and you said, yeah, I mean, activity is a really important thing. So
he also kind of resume, his last like 3 or 4 fights, they've been years apart, haven't they?
Yeah. Yep. He's averaged, maybe less than 1 fight per year over the last 4 years. And so he's coming up to a bit of a crossroads. I mean, the guy's always going to be popular. He's still a very, very talented lightweight in mixed martial arts. But I think he is coming up a crossroads. He wants this 3rd fight with the guy that he just lost to, Dustin Poirier. And I wonder, just as your guy, as someone who knows the fight game as well as you do, what do you think about a guy who turns around and wants to fight? Obviously, if you lose a fight, you want to fight the guy again, right? You want to correct that wrong. We see that all the time in combat sports. These guys want an immediate rematch if they lose. Do you think it's the right move for him to turn around and want that fight as soon as possible? Such a big fight, such an important fight in his career. It'll kind of dictate, what people are saying about the direction in which he's going. Do you like the idea of him going back and turning around and fighting this guy in just a few months?
Most definitely, yes, because he's been in the ring now. He's been active. He's had that training camp. He's going to have another training camp, bit more activity. I think he'll get focused and do what he's got to do in the rematch. And when it's a make or break fight, which this one will be, this will be the icing on the cake. If he loses this one, then where does he go from there? But if he wins it, he's back up there. So I think he thrives under pressure like that. And providing he does a good training camp and he gets to the ring injury free, he should do okay.
Well, man, we really appreciate the time. I guess the final word, and again, I wasn't anticipating you kind of going in this direction of not thinking the fight's going to happen, because again, all the reports has been positive. Tell us when we'll see you next in your heart. When do you think we will see you next in the ring, and who will be?
You'll see me twice this year. That's a guarantee. I'm looking to fight as soon as possible. If not June in the big fight, then May. In a not the big fight, somebody else, a defense of my title, and then again at the end of the year. So twice this year, whoever it is, I don't really care. If the fight gets made that everyone wants to see, then we see a throwdown. But if not, we're going to see some ass kickings anyway.
Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure speaking to you. I hope we get to do it again. Enjoy. Hope we didn't interrupt your massage too much.
He's gone. He's left the building.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.